estar bien viviendo sola.
Y a mí me alegra recuperar a mi marido porque...
Amanda Slaton had privately expressed similar concerns, noting that the family's narrative deserved closure and continuity. Yet with the lawsuit active and the potential for legal repercussions hanging over every word they might speak, the family remained largely silent, their voices muted by the fear that any public statement could be scrutinized in court, and this enforced silence, according to sources close to the family, was beginning to generate tension within the household as differing opinions about loyalty, strategy, and the path forward clashed behind closed doors, creating a quiet but palpable strain among members who had long relied on each other for support and understanding, and beyond the walls of the family home. Public perception and media pressure had intensified to levels that few could have predicted, with TLC attempting to manage the narrative through selective statements, controlled releases, and carefully curated social media posts. Yet, despite the network's efforts, the response from fans, journalists, and industry commentators had grown intense, with headlines and trending topics dominating online spaces as theories, speculation, and criticism spread like wildfire. Phrases such as Amy Slaton arrested, 10,000 LB Sisters Season 8 canceled, and TLC suing Amy Slaton became omnipresent in searches, forums, and social media conversations, generating a media storm that brought the intersection of celebrity legal issues, personal scandal, family drama, and corporate litigation into sharp focus, turning what might have been a private matter into a spectacle of public interest, a perfect storm that kept Amy and TLC in the spotlight for weeks on end. And within this maelstrom, Amy's legal team was reportedly preparing multiple lines of defense, strategies aimed not only at reducing potential financial damages, but also at establishing precedent in reality television contract disputes, particularly regarding the rights of talent facing personal or L. Amy Slaton had always been the face of a story that captivated millions, a story of weight loss, struggle, motherhood, and a divorce that unfolded under the harsh scrutiny of reality television. But in 2025, everything she had built seemed to teeter on the edge of collapse as she made the difficult and heart-wrenching decision to withdraw from the filming of Season 8 of 1000 LB Sisters, a choice that sent shockwaves through the production crew, her family, and the fanbase that had followed her every triumph and setback, leaving a vacuum that no one seemed prepared to fill, especially not TLC, which, despite having invested years, millions of dollars, and extensive resources into planning a season that promised to be the most emotionally gripping yet, suddenly faced the harsh reality of canceled schedules, idle crews, unused locations, and contractual obligations that were now hanging by a fragile thread. And while executives scrambled to mitigate the fallout, offering medical support, therapy resources, logistical help, and even negotiating flexible filming arrangements that could accommodate her personal crises, Amy remained steadfast in her decision. Citing an inability to continue filming amidst ongoing legal issues, including an arrest for possession of controlled substances, the media frenzy that had erupted around the story, and the relentless pressure of motherhood and personal health struggles, and though the network had gone so far as to cover her legal fees and bail to prevent public scandal and ensure production continuity, the sense of personal danger and emotional exhaustion Amy described in private conversations with family and friends suggested that no amount of logistical accommodation could ease the burden she felt, leading to a standoff that would culminate in a $1 million lawsuit against her for breach of contract, with the claim detailing everything from prepaid production locations and accommodations to marketing campaigns, crew salaries, and the conversations behind the scenes were intense, emotional, and at times openly confrontational, showing how difficult it has become for the sisters to balance their loyalty to each other with the need to protect their own well-being. Insiders describe one moment as the most powerful of all, a quiet exchange between Amy and Tammy away from the bright studio lights and cameras. It was a conversation filled with years of unsaid feelings finally breaking through the surface. There were heartfelt apologies, trembling voices, long pauses, and confessions that had been buried under years of misunderstandings. One crew member who witnessed the moment said it felt as though everything the sisters had held inside for so long came pouring out in a single emotional wave. Apologies were shared for past mistakes, expressions of pride were exchanged, and they made promises to stand by one another no matter what the future brings. This real, unfiltered emotion was the kind of moment the audience only glimpses through the condensed, carefully edited episodes. It was raw, human, and unforgettable. The day became even more emotional as members of the extended Slaton family joined the filming. Their presence added layers of warmth, tension, and history. According to those on set, moments of laughter blended with heavy silences and quiet reflection, forming a complicated but deeply connected family portrait. The scenes captured everything the show has become known for: the unspoken tension, the lifelong bonds, the frustration, and the love that somehow survives all of it. Though much of the footage was cut or trimmed for time, those who were there say the emotional truth of the day remained unmistakable. The production crew worked carefully, slowing filming schedules and providing soft spaces, counselors, and constant check-ins to ensure both sisters were emotionally safe. It was the kind of behind-the-scenes support viewers rarely know about, a reminder that these aren't just characters. The season 7 finale of 1,000 Pounds Sisters unfolded in a way that no one expected, a slow-burn emotional explosion that built quietly behind the cameras long before the episode aired. By the time the filming day arrived, the atmosphere surrounding the Slaton sisters was already tight with tension, unspoken worries, and a storm that everyone sensed was coming. What fans eventually watched on television captured only a fraction of the truth. In reality, the emotional energy was so heavy that even the production crew struggled to maintain their composure. As the sun rose and filming began, Tammy arrived looking nothing like the confident, newly transformed version of herself that viewers had seen earlier in the season. She looked tired, anxious, and fragile in a way that immediately alerted the crew that something was wrong. People working behind the scenes whispered privately that she was jittery, overwhelmed, and seemingly ready to burst into tears at any moment. Even before the first camera rolled, she sat quietly with her hands clasped together, breathing heavily, whispering that she didn't know if she could go through with it. Crew members tried to lighten the mood, offering calm conversation and soft encouragement, but Tammy could barely respond. At one point, her voice cracked as she murmured that everything around her felt like it was closing in, and that she could hardly breathe under the pressure. The subtle exchanges between Tammy and Amy from the very start of filming hinted at a deep tension that neither sister fully voiced aloud. Tammy felt misunderstood, unsupported, and cornered not only by her family's hopes, but also by the expectations of the network and the public. She tried to mask her anxiety with occasional jokes, but the humor was thin and brittle, disappearing almost immediately into moments of silence and trembling hands. As the morning progressed, the emotional burden became impossible to hide. Tammy's attempts at staying engaged with the filming. Amanda Halterman's story within the world of reality television had never been one of glamour or ambition. She never entered the spotlight with dreams of fame or the intention of becoming a central character in a massive TV franchise. Amanda was someone who valued honesty above everything else, someone who loved her family fiercely, and someone who believed that if she ever appeared on camera, it would be for the sake of supporting her sisters, not building a public persona. Her presence on 1,000 Pounds Sisters began from a place of duty and loyalty, not self-promotion. But over time, the world she stepped into began to twist around her, slowly reshaping her into something she barely recognized. That slow shift pushed her into a confrontation that would eventually erupt into one of the biggest behind-the-scenes explosions the show had ever experienced. In the early stages of her involvement, Amanda had been a breath of fresh air for viewers. She was tough but loving, bold yet compassionate, and able to deliver sharp truth without malice. Fans quickly gravitated toward her because she represented the grounded voice within the chaos of the Slaton household. Her ability to balance firm honesty with genuine affection made her relatable. She supported Tammy during her darkest phases and guided Amy through the overwhelming task of learning to be a mother. Viewers admired her because they saw sincerity in everything she did. But within the controlled environment of reality TV production, that sincerity became both a blessing and a problem. Behind the cameras, producers did not simply watch events unfold, they shaped them. The show thrived on shocking moments, emotional breakdowns, and explosive confrontations. To them, Amanda's sharp personality wasn't something to preserve authentically. It was something they could amplify, reshape, and manipulate to hook viewers. Bit by bit, her genuine reactions were transformed into caricatured moments of anger. Soft-spoken words were edited. Amanda Halterman ka nam sunt hi 1,000 pound sisters ka fans kazihin main ek ac shaksiat ubharti hi jo mazbut, bibake, or apni family ka liya hamesha kuri rati ti. Lekin jis tara us akanak tlc se rishta tor dia, shotur dia, or producers par sokt ilzamat laga die, us any poor fanbase ko hila kar rock dia. Aaj social media par har taraf surf ike hi sol gum raha hi, akir isa kia hua ku Amanda J's